ideas of the remedies there, they're going to be really hard to affect. But we can have an effect locally. We can have you might say, an impact. I know that's an overused word and kind of a bit of slang. We can have an impact here in Chattanooga and Hamilton County. And so to do that, I think we need to look carefully at how the government, the commercial government of our day, spends its money on all kinds of things which are really just business, really just government as business partner, business capitalist, enabler. And on that point, we have on the county commission a man who is the chairman and who is raising Cain. He's raising trouble, raising questions about the Convention and Visitors Bureau, which has the stated purpose of bringing tourism dollars, tourists to come into the county to spend time and money looking over sites and enjoying the beautiful views and venues here at the River City. Tim Boyd, what is it that you are now reporting about the Convention and Visitors Bureau? What is the budget that it operates? How much does it get from the county, and what's wrong with what you've been seeing in that sector?
In the mayor's fiscal year 2018 budget, he is estimating that the county's portion of contributions to CVB will be $8.2 million. This is a $400,000 to $500,000 increase over fiscal year 2017. What I've been reviewing for the last 5 months is their mismanagement and mishandling of funds within the CVB. Now, do I recognize the importance of the CVB? Absolutely. Absolutely. I totally get it. I understand it. I promote tourism. I'm a great advocate, big advocate for Hamilton County and pushing tourism, tourist dollars. But I'm also a chairman of the finance committee, and I have a fiduciary responsibility to my constituents to look at where every penny is going in this county, and if there's misuse, mismanagement of funds, of tax dollars, I want it to stop. And I don't want anybody talking to me about a tax revenue increase, a tax increase, a fee increase, any kind of freaking increase, unless they're going to talk to me about better management and more efficient use of our tax dollars. I'm really, David, I'm getting really, really frustrated at the lack of support I'm getting behind this. This is an important issue, especially with the schools asking for $25 more million above and beyond what they've already gotten. And Mayor Coppinger hinting that there could be a tax increase or a fee increase, or even alluded to in the paper a special tax for capital projects, which that would be incredibly hard to for me to swallow. But anyway, back to the CVB. My investigations have shown that there's no accountability, there's no transparency. They are spending tax dollars on a $100,000 credit limit travel card, which over 20 people have access to within that department. You have a CEO making over $210,000 paying for his high-priced lunches with his buddies, and he keeps no receipts, hiding the fact, I think, that of exactly what they're buying at those high-priced lunches. And you know, when the CVB is running around town charging lunches and dinners, even at Fresh Market, regularly $70, $80, $90, $100 grocery bills at Fresh Market, what is going on with this money? And I'm tired of it, David. I'm not going to tolerate it anymore. I've tried to work with the executive committee down there and wanted them to take action. They have not done so. So I'm going right back to the public and the media to spread the word and make people understand this has got to stop.
Well, what is it, Tim Boyd, Commissioner, that my listener can do? What practically should he be doing in the next few days about this? What do you recommend?
I'm pleading with your listeners to contact their commissioners and encourage them my fellow commissioners, to get behind me on my resolution that's on the board next Wednesday that will put more controls on the nonprofits that get millions of dollars of tax dollars every year. I also need them to encourage the commissioners, my fellow commissioners, that get behind Tim Boyd. CVB has got to get its act together, and a lot of changes need to be done. Do not give CVB 100% of the money. Your listeners just got to get behind me on this initiative, David, bottom line.
All right, and that needs to be...
Unless they want to continue to tolerate the squandering of our tax dollars locally.
Well, I think my listener has a problem, Tim Boyd. He thinks that he needs to pay a lot of attention to what's happening in Congress and Washington and with President Trump, and he thinks that somehow what happens there really is worth his attention, though he can do nothing to change that, even if he wrote a letter to Chuck Fleischman or to Senator Corker or Alexander. Those kinds of letters are just they're just tallied in as pro or con on a given issue, and then he's given a report periodically on how's the public sentiment going by correspondence, and it doesn't really affect anything. But here we're local, and so my listener who may have a commissioner representing him other than yourself can actually make a phone call to that commissioner or send an email, right, or send a handwritten note.
Exactly. Get on the internet. Google Hamilton County Government. It gives the commissioner's email right there. Write him an email or her an email and tell them that you're disgusted with the deplorable actions that are going on at CVB and will not tolerate it any longer. But your listeners need to understand, David, that the county commission can affect their back pocket quicker and faster than anybody in federal government. And they don't understand that. They need to understand that.
Well,
we can pass a resolution and start collecting more taxes on you guys in 2 weeks. I don't want to do that. I'm not for it, but I'm just saying we have the authority and the power to affect taxes immediately.
So there's a kind of there's a kind of moral power of persuasion, Commissioner Tim Boyd, that my listener has. And that's because he can make a personal contact, and that's the advantage of proximity. We're right in the same county. We're all within 20 miles of each other or so at the most, and can do that. And I think my listener thinks that because it's local, it's not really that important. It doesn't really touch his revenue streams. It doesn't touch his dignity or his pride or his his being served by a democratically elected government. Somehow all those issues don't really matter if it's local, but somehow on the federal side it's really important. And I think we're just somehow being fooled by press coverage and by the excitement of Washington that what they're doing there matters more. Well, can you go back for a second? You mentioned the Convention and Visitors Bureau Committee. Talk to that committee about getting some action. When did you meet with that body, that committee? What did you say, and why after that meeting are you saying now that nothing is going to happen in the way of tightening the financial purse strings there?
Well, David, I met with key members of the executive committee, I think before the end of April. It's certainly within early May. It's been over a month. I gave them an overview of my findings, and everybody at the tables, eyes were wide open, mouths dropped. They had no idea how Bob Doak was spending the money. What they were interested in is bed count, and as long as Doak's bed count numbers are up, they didn't care about how he's spending the taxes. So I showed them where the mismanagement's going on. I reminded them that they're members of the executive committee listed on the 990 IRS return, and they're as liable as Bob Doak for how the money is being spent. I gave them a recommendation and suggestions of what I would like to see the CVB restructured to tighten up the controls, handed that to them, and I said, please take action on this. We'll keep it out of the media. I don't want to embarrass anybody. I would like for you guys to take care of business and just make the changes. Well, in my most recent conversations, that didn't happen. None of it happened. In fact, Keith Sanford in the Chattanooga's quoted as Bob Doak's controls are tighter than the aquariums. Well, my question is, maybe we need to look at the aquarium. I mean, this is just intolerable. It's got to stop. So I've gone back to the media, releasing more information, and there's more information to come, and I'm going to keep releasing the information, David, until somebody on that board of directors, that executive committee, realizes that I'm not kidding. I'm not going to back down. This has got to change.
This is David Tulis. We're talking with County Commissioner Tim Boyd, who has taken on the role of taxpayer watchdog regarding an organization, a 501c4 nonprofit organization whose virtually whose entire budget comes from the county through the collection on taxes, collection of taxes upon visitors through the hotel and motel system. And yesterday, I think it was, John Wilson at Chattanooga.com posted an important update on Bob Doak's credit card payments and lists. In a way, it's an embarrassingly redundant list from 2013. Many dinners had, many lunches had. 2014. It goes on through 2015. January 9, Blue Water Grill, Jim Bambry, Charlie Arand, $58.67 expenditures on the credit card. And Tim is trying to get you, my listener, to contact your county commissioner today. Now, this is something that we're suggesting that you do today in the interest of making your concerns felt about what is, you might say, the dark side of commercial government here. So Tim, how sharp a whack can the commission give to this organization? I mean, can it cut the spending? What is its authority over the CVB, the Convention Visitors Bureau?
David, the commission has total and absolute control of the hotel motel occupancy tax. It has nothing to do with the general budget. It has nothing to do with the administratives, the county mayor's staff's opinion on how to use it. The county commission has complete and total control of how the hotel motel tax is used. So
now you're saying the county commission, that is to say the legislative branch of county government, not the executive branch led by Mayor Jim Coppinger. He doesn't have that authority, right? That's yours.
That's correct. He has no authority over that money. The legislative body, the commission, have total control of that money. The commission could, in fact, defund the CVB 100% and start over.
Well, let me ask you this, Tim Boyd: if the savings if the belts are tightened by Bob Doak and his staff, and there's extra money that's not going out for feckless dinners at Hennon's on the Riverside, what would that money be used for? Where would the money go to serve the public interest? How would it be spent better?
What the hotel motel occupancy tax was originally established in the state of Tennessee was to give the county the option to charge this tax up to 4%, which we do. We take advantage of that option. Also in that piece of legislation, that money can be used for debt service on capital projects to enhance capital projects for tourism within the county. So if you can identify a venue that you'd like to have built, or a museum, or even the history museum, to be funded with hotel motel tax, the city of Chattanooga is using 100% of their hotel motel occupancy tax to service the debt on the riverfront. They don't contribute, and neither does East Ridge or Collegedale, who collect the same tax. Nobody but Hamilton County gives money to the CVB, and we give 100% of ours to the CVB.
So Chattanooga,
that needs to stop. We need to be building new venues to attract more tourists to our community and use this tax to fund it.
So when you say we, you mean the county government should be building these venues, or guaranteeing the debts?
Yes, the county government should be building these venues. A new I've been in the news as a proponent of a sports complex downtown. Well, Keith Stanford with Aquarium says there's no return on investment on that. I'm not talking about return on investment, David. I'm talking about government doing the right thing for the community. What kind of return on investment did we get on Finley Stadium or the Roundhouse or the Bessie Smith Museum? All of those funded by the hotel motel tax. You don't do these projects based on ROI. You do them based on government steps in and does it for the betterment of the quality of life and improvement of our county. What kind of return on investment do we have at Enterprise South Nature Center? You don't look at it on ROI. You look at it, we have this funding mechanism. Let's use it to better our community. And certainly the hotel motel occupancy tax can be used to do that.
Well, I think my listener, Tim Boyd, when you talk about the spending that way, he suddenly pulls back because he thinks, well, wait a minute. We should have a free market where investments like that do rely on return on investment, and that the investments are have private risk, private capital, and private gain, rather than the public effectively having a dole supporting these places and parks and facilities that will always be losing money. Are you not concerned about that?
The river park from the dam to St. What's your return on investment of that? The return on investment of that is a better quality of life, a better community, someplace for our entire community to enjoy. That's the kind of investment government should be making back into their communities, just like Harrison Bay State Park, just like Chester Frost State Park. You think Chester Frost State Park had an ROI when they established that? No, they established it for the betterment of our citizens who are paying the tax. And return on your tax dollar by having a better place to live.
And I think there's a little bit less, in defense of your position, Tim Boyd, the pain is a little bit less for the local listener and the local taxpayer, because he's not paying that tax. It's paid by aliens, strangers, and visitors from other cities and even other countries. They pay that tax. So it's not drawn locally.
Exactly, David. Exactly. You hit the nail on the head. This is alien tax revenue. It is not local tax dollars. So you're getting people that are visiting our community paying for these venues to better the quality of life in Hamilton County, and we should be doing that.
Okay, we have another minute. Commissioner Tim Boyd, in a minute, tell my listener what you're strongly urging or recommending he do about the CVB expose that you are publishing in the local press.
Your listeners should contact their local county commissioner and encourage them to support my initiative to reallocate funding for CVB and make them more accountable and transparent as to where that money is being spent. I just can't encourage you strong enough to do that. We're going to be voting on this next Wednesday. And your voice, I guarantee it, your voice through an email will be heard, because the commissioners read their emails religiously. In fact, I've got a file on every email I get from a constituent, and I can go retrieve it and have conversations with them, and I encourage you to do that.
Well, that's great advice. And Tim Boyd, thanks again for joining us here at Nooga Radio. Thank you so much, sir.
Have a good day. Bye.
That's Tim Boyd, who is a county commissioner, and he's urging you, my listener, to contact your county commissioner. If you're not sure who that is, just Google Hamilton County TN government, and the county commission website will pop up, and then you can find quickly who your commissioner is if you don't know it. And the fact that you don't know it is, I understand that, and I'm kind of like you. But it's time, perhaps, that we think lococentrically. It's time, perhaps, to think in terms of local economy and the free market. And here, let's see if you, my listener, and I, we too can make a difference in the operation of a quasi-parasitical organization that serves a public benefit and serves a public good. And the commissioner with whom we've been chatting is urging that it be more strictly controlled, more strictly governed, that the tax dollars it gets really bring bang for the buck, and not just go for loafing at Hendon's over martinis at 2 o'clock. as Bob Doak and others, Jim Bambry and Charlie Arand and other local notables, Rick Thompson, have been doing. Ed Dolliver, Tim Morgan in the past 3 years or so. David Tulis, Nooga Radio. Nooga Radio.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 12.